Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today. So this is the Bidders Conference for the North Cities Career Service Provider. So this RFP was released last month, and so now we're going ahead with the Bidders Conference. We had a session this morning, so this is session number 2. And welcome. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'll go over the agenda a bit. So we're going to start off with a WIOA and ACWDB overview to let you know a little bit more background on the funding. And we're going to go into the specifics of this RFP. And in addition to that, we'll do a little bit more detail on the way that you submit the formatting, the date, all of that. And we'll also have time for questions that you may have. In addition to today, we also will allow for email questions to be sent in by tomorrow afternoon. So I'll give more details on that also. And at the very end, we'll have about 30 minutes where you'll be put into a breakout room. So all of you that are here today can collaborate, talk about anything. If there's anything you'd like to discuss, any questions that happen after that will need to be emailed, so we won't be available for questions after we close out this session, but you all are welcome to connect. If you choose to leave, then we'll go ahead and close out the meeting at that time. Okay. Next slide, please. Oh, and also I didn't introduce myself. My name is Jennifer Victorica. I'm overseeing the contracts for the adult and dislocated worker programs here with the Alameda County Workforce Development Board. So a few reminders to please mute yourself during the duration of the presentation. We will have a chance to do questions at the end. So just take a note, keep those for the end. If you could please add them to the chat as well so that we have them for our records and we can include them in the Q&A afterwards. And go ahead and enter your name, organization, and email address in the chat so that we can make sure you're on our distribution list and that you get notice of anything that's relevant to this RFP. As I said earlier, any additional questions can be submitted to the ACWDB email address, which is listed there, acwdb@acgov.org. And you'll be able to send over questions through tomorrow at 5 p.m. So any questions received after that time will not be included in our Q&A and will not be able to be answered since we're keeping to the competitive process. Okay, go ahead, Alex. Thank you. A little bit an overview on WIOA and the ACWDB. So WIOA is funded through the Department of Labor's Employment and Training Administration, and later those funds are passed through the state of California's Employment Development Department, and then to the local areas. And so Alameda County Workforce Development Board is one of the 2 state-designated workforce board in Alameda County, the other one being Oakland Workforce Development Board, which oversees the city of Oakland. So we cover all of the other cities and unincorporated areas within Alameda County. So Alameda County Workforce Development Board establishes services through frontline service providers to equip adults, dislocated workers, in-school youth, and out-of-school youth with career services, including training, career placement, and other post-secondary options. Now to get into the specifics of this RFP. So go ahead, Alex. So this is a visual of the different subregions that Alameda County Workforce Development Board covers. For the purpose of this RFP, we're concentrated on the North Cities subregion, which includes Alameda, Albany, Berkeley, Emeryville, and Piedmont.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, it sounds
and specific to this subregional career service provider RFP for the North Cities, we're looking for services to be specific to the job seekers and employer needs within the subregion. So within the North Cities and within those cities that I mentioned earlier. And that includes making universal services available to job seekers. So anyone that visits the location and wants information, general information about jobs available, services available, resources, but also providing individualized services to WIOA enrolled participants. The services should be flexibly available throughout the subregion, meaning that you're out in the community within the North Cities region, and are involved with different things and events going on in the community and serving anyone that lives in the region. Also, it's important to establish and maintain partnerships within the subregion to best serve the area and offer subregionally specific services and resources, meaning that you're involved, you're aware of what's going on, you're tapped into different providers in the area that can support the participants in your region. And that includes partnering with subregional employers. So really knowing the employers and industries that are relevant to your area and being able to create those connections for participants. Thank you, Alex. And also this RFP is covering a 3-year contract from July 1st, 2026 through June 30th of 2029. Going deeper into the WIOA career services that it's expected of all providers. So we do require that eligibility be determined, and that would be according to Alameda County Workforce Development Board program policies, as well as policies laid out by EDD, and as far as the federal level. Also comprehensive case management, which will include objective assessment and individual employment plans, really working with individuals to figure out what their next steps are, what their goals are ultimately, and also identifying skills and interests, and offering supportive services and referrals. Also providing access to training that connect to industry, sector, and occupational framework that outlines the growing sectors in our region, and integrated career pathways. And those trainings should also result in industry recognized credentials and ultimately leading to employment. And that's when the employer partnerships are really crucial to making sure that the trainings that individuals are completing align with employer needs and then facilitating placement after that. And once program completion is, once the participant completes the program, then we do also require follow-up for 12 months after exit, once a quarter, checking in, making sure that individuals are still on the pathway, providing services as appropriate after the program. So a bit more information on the subregional CSP RFP. So one provider will be selected as part of this process for a 3-year contract, again, spanning July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2029. As you can see there will be up to $410,000 per year. And recognizing that funding is still subject to allocation, so dependent on what we receive from the state, but we're estimating that that's about the amount based on our current funding. And also you'll see that funding is dependent on subregions, and that's really based on unemployment rates around the different subregions that we serve. Crucial to this effort is on the ground outreach and meeting job seekers where they are. So being flexible about where you're meeting folks, how you do your outreach, really being out in the community, and trying to reach as many individuals as you can, making sure that everyone's aware of the services available to the subregion and doing it in a way that makes sense for that subregion. So in this case, for the North Cities region, really figuring out where are the places that are relevant to the subregion and participants or job seekers that are from this subregion, and how do you get in those spaces. A part of that would also be employer partners and making sure that they're fully engaged and ready to support placement goals, making the connections, making sure that you're talking to them about the type of individuals that you are referring, what supports are needed, making sure that you're fully engaged through the process, providing support for both employer and the participants. And in the same way, community organizations should understand what it takes to really have a meaningful partnership, figuring out how to leverage funding, leverage resources, and making those connections to make it make sense and complement the services that you're providing. So now performance and data management. So we do follow a results-based accountability or RBA framework. And through that, we ask the following questions. How much did we do? How well did we do? And is anyone better off? So our performance goals are based on those three questions, really making sure that our programs are having the impact that we want to see and tracking that progress throughout the term of the contract. As far as data management, we use the state mandated data management system, CalJobs. So everything that's done needs to be captured through activity codes and case notes, uploading relevant documents, keeping track of the work that's being done, so that we're able to ultimately show this in our reports to the state. But in addition to the numbers, we also want to know the story behind the numbers. So we do collect monthly narrative reports where we really ask your perspective on what's going on, what is causing, what we're seeing on the numbers, if there's anything that we need to address to support you all and to support the clients ultimately, because you really are eyes on the ground. So we want to hear from you all what's going on and how we can better support to benefit the whole system. Go back, Alex. There you go. Thank you. But ultimately, if it's not in CalJobs, it didn't happen because we are subject to state reporting. The state needs to be able to look at what's being done, and the way that they keep track of that is through CalJobs. So again, the importance of case notes, the importance of keeping track of what data is input to CalJobs is very important and ultimately something that we're required to do as well. As far as eligible organizations, so eligible organizations include nonprofits, community-based organizations, for-profit, educational institution, partnerships, and collaborations. And one of the qualifications does require the use of small local emerging business program, which is held by the Alameda County. And so nonprofits, public universities, public schools, and government agencies are exempt from this SLEB list participation requirement. However, if you are not one of those entities and you're not on the SLEB list, which is the small local emerging business list, then that entity must subcontract with the SLEB participating entity and award 20% of the total budget funding to the SLEB eligible organization. Local entities may be eligible for a 5% bid preference if the proper documentation is submitted, and entities certified as small local emerging business at the time of the bid may be eligible for an additional 5% bid preference. So that's up to a maximum of 10% of the bid preference for an entity that shows they're local and shows that they're certified as a SLEB. Alameda County Workforce Development Board is not the certifying entity, however, and so any information that you all need, you can visit the website that's listed here, or you can call the number and get that information if you would like to learn more. Okay, so this is the RFP timeline, and we are doing our best to stick to this timeline, but all dates are subject to change if things come up. So you'll see that we're doing the virtual information sessions today. As I said, we did an earlier session, and this is the second afternoon session. Written questions are due by tomorrow, January 8th by 5 p.m. to the acwdb@acgov.org email address. The addendum, including the Q&A, the attendee list, and this presentation will be posted by January 15th, 2026 on our website. And again, anyone that's here today, if you could please add your information to the chat so that we're able to track attendees, I would really appreciate it. And then so proposals are due January 26th, 2026. by 5 p.m. And so we are not able to accept late submissions. And submitting proposals requires hand delivering to our office. So the address is there. We're on the sixth floor. And two hard copies are required with original signatures on all of the pages on both copies. And we are looking to announce awards and complete the onboarding and the training between March and June 2026, with the contract starting on July 1st, 2026. All right, and a bit more information on formatting. We are asking for 12-point font, 1-inch standard margin, single space, and numbering the pages sequentially. Please be sure to check the checklist that's included as part of the response packet. It does indicate some areas that have a page limit. So looking at all of those, it's about 36 pages, but that does not include some of the signature pages that will go along with that too. So just be sure to check on the checklist any kind of limits to pages, because we will unfortunately not be able to accept anything beyond anything that has a stated page limit. As far as required documents, again, that checklist, a cover letter, a small local emerging business information page, and other relevant documentation for that purpose, employer letters of commitment, and enclosure documents requiring signature. And all of that can be found within the response packet. Also included on our website, you'll see the response packet, you'll see the RFP summary, but you'll also see an attachment, a second attachment, which includes other information that may be relevant in the case that you are selected as the awardee. It's things like information on our insurance requirements and other things that you may be asked to sign. So it's just for further information. Okay, and so for submission of proposals, again, we require 2 hard copy original blue ink signatures by in-person delivery. So this means that everything is signed with a pen, both copies. All of the signatures should be a wet ink signature, and it's due by January 26, 2026 at 5 p.m. And we can't accept any late submissions. So this includes, keeping track of your parking, you're heading upstairs. We are on the 6th floor and we're all the way down the hall. So make sure you keep that in mind when you are delivering. Make sure you make time for that because we unfortunately are not able to accept anything beyond 5 o'clock. And I put the address here, and also some more detail about how to get to our office. So once you're on the 6th floor, you can follow the signs to the end of the hallway, and then we do have a doorbell that you can ring to get someone to accept your proposal. And you'll also receive a receipt indicating the time that it was received.